Welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be covering an article on checkmychurch.org. This was written by Sarah Leanne Young on July 1st, 2024. The title reads, Satire, 8 Ways Pastors Have It Hard. Note that the word hard is in all caps. Below that, we see a man in a flannel shirt holding a holy Bible to his forehead. Next to the words, 8 ways pastors have it hard. There's a word, wolf, next to pastors that is in the same red coloring as the word hard. So together, the title reads, 8 Ways Wolf Pastors Have It Hard. Underneath the image, we read, this satire article was inspired by the Babylon Bee's recent article, 9 Ways Pastors Have It Easy, which flatters and defends Christian pastors. Here at Check My Church, we think Christians are far too easy on its so-called, quote, pastors, end quote. Rampant abuse, corruption, and cult-like control have become a feature of the local Christian church or ministry. Through satire, we're here to call it out for the absurdity that it is. Enjoy. All Christians know that being a pastor is the most honorable, powerful, and authoritative job in the church. Its power, prestige, and paycheck obviously makes it the most sought-after position for the most humble and righteous followers of Christ. But pastors are constantly victims of criticism and outrageous accusations in the church. Side note, note that the words humble, righteous, and constantly are all italicized. It's time we give them the worship and adoration they deserve for their hard work in the kingdom. Note that the word hard is also italicized. After years of observing countless pastors of all denominations, here are 8 ways pastors have it hard. Side note, the word hard is in all caps, just like the title. First point. They have to spend hours every week pretending to care about people. That whole sentence was in bold and the word pretending was italicized. While they're getting paid for their work and everyone else is, quote, in italics, laboring for the Lord, end italics, end quote, for free, it's important to leave the pastor the hell alone so he can focus on himself. Some pastors hire bodyguards and other church staff to keep the stupid sheep away from them so they can do more important things, like podcasting about how much they care about people. Many pastors, however, are forced to blow people off themselves, and it's really inconvenient. Note that the word really is italicized. Second point. In bold. If they make a single minor mistake, like having an affair, abusing children, protecting those who abuse who abuse women and children, or verbally berating and tormenting everyone around them for years on end, the whole body of Christ will come together to protect their victims. End bold. The persecution pastors face from real shepherds of the flock for being human garbage is so unfair. Note that the word so is italicized. Point 3. Their typically narcissistic and abusive behavior fosters dysfunctional and turbulent family lives. Side note, that whole sentence was in bold. Why don't women and children just blindly obey and submit to everything they say? Who cares if they're abused and traumatized? The church members can hold together and pretend everything is okay. Why can't they? Point 4. In bold. They have to look perfect, even though they're full of self-indulgence and debauchery. End bold. Life isn't easy for a wolf in sheep's clothing, while they're firing and excommunicating other church members for their sins. Note that the words their sins are italicized. The pastor has to pretend they don't do the same things they're judging and condemning everyone else for. Such a hypocritical charade is hard to uphold. Note that the word hard is italicized. Point 5. All that self-righteous narcissism and fake spirituality gives people the impression they have a direct line to God like all other Christians do. Side note, that sentence was in bold. It's super hard pretending to have a one-on-one relationship with God when you don't. Note that the words super and don't are italicized. Point 6, in bold. The poor and needy are constantly poor and needy, in bold. Just because everyone else in the church is paying the pastor's salary, that doesn't mean they're obligated to be generous, kind, or compassionate. Come on, that's the real Christian's job. Note that the words come on and real are italicized. Point 7, in bold. People have thoughts and opinions that they don't agree with or want to hear, in bold. Don't you know the pastor's thoughts and ideas about God are better than yours? Seriously, they're always right. Stop asking questions and disagreeing with their teachings. There's no way they can be wrong. Side note, the words always and no way are italicized. You're just making things harder for them by by threatening their fragile, grandiose self-image. Last but not least, point 8, in bold. They have to pretend to know about the topics they know little to nothing about, and if they can't answer your questions, they have to shame and mock you instead of admitting their ignorance because that would make them look bad. End bold. Whether it's theology, marriage, finances, relationships, church history, parenting, or biblical hermeneutics, even if they go to a seminary that supposedly teaches everything they should know about theology, church history, and the Bible, the wolf, pastor, note that the word pastor is italicized, doesn't genuinely care about these things. If you ask them a question they can't answer, they're forced to lash out at you to protect their image, and that's hard for them. Note that the word hard is italicized. All in all, it's clear we should be easier on these exploitative, self-absorbed wolves in sheep's clothing. Their lives are much more difficult than everyone else's, especially given their need to uphold such a blatantly false public image. In bold, disclaimer, and bold, in italics. This article isn't about all pastors. Note that the word all is in bold, as well as italicized. Continuing, there are always exceptions to the rule, and we know there are still good pastors out there working hard to teach the Bible truthfully and faithfully for the glory of God. But after years of observing, investigating, and engaging with numerous Christian churches and their so-called pastors, we believe most pastors display narcissistic, Machiavellian, and sometimes even psychopathic behavior. If your pastor doesn't behave like an insolent, malevolent, and indignant little weasel, praise God. If he/she does, let's just say we're not surprised. Here ends the article. We see the tags church abuse, Christian church, satire, Christian cults, Christian pastors, and humor linked here at the bottom of the article. Now, let's go over to the Babylon Bee article. The 9 ways pastors have it easy. Note that the word easy is in all caps. This says here that it was brought to you by the Focused Pastor. Focused Pastor is produced by Focus on the Family. And at the very end of the article, it has, in all caps, not satire, and in italics reads, at Focus on the Family, we love pastors and appreciate the incredible work you do in ministry. And we understand the unique challenges you face, the constant demands, high expectations, and spiritual battles that can sometimes feel overwhelming and isolating. That's why we want to invite you and your spouse to join us for the Focused Pastor Couples Conference from October 28th through the 30th at our headquarters in Colorado Springs. This event has been thoughtfully designed with you and your spouse in mind, offering a much-needed opportunity to find refreshment, renewal, and encouragement amidst the challenges of ministry life. Because it's focused on the family, this is undoubtedly going to be a conservative pastors conference, meaning there's not going to be any women's pastors here. For me personally, especially seeing the Satire article and going briefly through the 9 points that are listed here, It is striking to see how a layperson who wrote a satire piece parroting the Babylon Bee is, in fact, a layperson. The Babylon Bee is made up of many talkers, commentators, but not all of them are pastors. But they couldn't even be bothered to have a layperson write this. No, this was someone who was deliberately there to write a pretend satire piece to promote a Focus on the Family conference. The promotion and the obvious sponsorship makes this supposed satire article really hard to digest as actual satire, especially compared to the satire article that we read before. Going through this one, the pastor writes, "Everyone knows that being a pastor is a great way to get into heaven, but did you know that being a pastor can make your life super easy on earth as well? The Babylon Bee painstakingly interviewed thousands of pastors to compile the following list of the ways ministers have it cushier than everyone else. Point 1. In bold, you only work 1 hour per week, end bold. And if you speed up your delivery, you may even cut it down to 53 minutes. Point 2. In bold, if you do anything wrong, someone will immediately tell you how to correct it, end bold. Thank you, Dolores. Point 3. In bold, your wife and kids are guaranteed to be perfect because you're a pastor, end bold. Think about it. How many pastors' kids have you ever known who turned out bad? Exactly. Point 4.
You're no longer tempted by sin. It's like the cheat code for the Christian life. Satan has to leave you alone because you're a pastor. Note that the word has is italicized. Point 5. You get a phone with a direct line to God, an exclusive pastor perk. Point 6. In bold, pastors make literally hundreds of dollars per week, end bold. Rumor has it that some pastors can even make thousands of dollars per year. Note that the words thousands of dollars are italicized. Point 7. In bold, free, totally unsolicited feedback on your sermons shows up in your email every Monday, end bold. How nice. Point 8. In bold, get to show up to work in Hawaiian shirts and flip-flops, end bold. Non-denominational only. Point 9. In bold, you always know the answer to every question about theology, church finances, solving marital problems, denominational disagreements, building repairs, raising kids, Hebrew translations, church history, and anything else a parishioner might ask about, end bold. It's just one of those things they teach you at seminary. And to top it all off, pastors can rest comfortably with the knowledge that God will judge them by a higher standard when their lives on earth are over. Sweet gig. Again, there's a not satire at the bottom of this article, but because this article was written by Focus on the Family, specific to their webinar, their series that they're presenting, and they want pastors to sign up for it, it makes me think that this is less than satire. I could see why the folks at the Babylon Bee and people who like them would take this and say, no, it's definitely satire. It's definitely satire because pastors have this hard, thankless job, and it's hard and demanding, and no one ever appreciates a pastor for what they do. But who's putting on all these pastor conferences? Who's promoting these very conservative religious worldviews? Where's the money going for these? You might want to claim as much as you can that it's all God's will and this is all above board. But at the end of the day, we know who's running it, we know who's promoting these kinds of mentalities, very conservative Christian mentalities, and we know the kind of money that's being used to fund this. Project 2025 was very enlightening. So has all the reporting that's been done regarding church financial abuse, church sexual abuse, pastors being arrested, scandals happening, who's funding whom. It applies as much to these conservative right-wing Christians as it does to the terrible left in their view. And that's as much to say that for all the good pastors out there, that do the hard work, that do the thankless tasks involved. There are also a bunch of wolf pastors who, whether for narcissism, whether for power, whether for financial gain, they will take advantage of their congregations, and it's not wrong for people to call that out. And it makes, quote, satire, end quote, pieces like this less believable as satire when you use them to promote pastors' conferences and promote the victim mentality among pastors about how everyone is against them and the world is coming to take their flock and only they can protect their flock. And their theology is the right one. And they know it because it's been taught this way for the past however many hundreds or thousands of years, and it will never change, and their theology is impervious. And how dare people and organizations talk about them and other pastors like them abusing the people of the congregation, abusing former people, abusing former Christians, taking advantage of them, whether it's physically, sexually, spiritually, financially, it's all abuse, it all matters. But you're not going to see places like the Babylon Bee or Focus on the Family actually take it seriously, because to them, any and all allegations are automatically damaging to the church, to Christ, and those people are in the wrong, not the people who fleeced the flock in the first place. That is all I had regarding these two articles. What did you think? What is your takeaway from comparing these two articles side by side? Thank you for watching/listening, and I will see you in the next video.